The Fringe Podcast, Season 5, Episode 6, The Recordist.
This is my name here, and you are listening to the Fringe Podcast.
Support for the Fringe Podcast is provided by listeners like you and by this week's sponsor, Global Cash Card. Learn how Global Cash Card provides world-class solutions for pay cards, gift cards, per diem cards, flex cards, and more by visiting thefringepodcast.com/global cash card today. Welcome back to the Fringe Podcast, a podcast dedicated to the Fox television show
Twitter.
Twitter.
Did you tweet? That's what I was trying to ask you.
That we had started
Yes.
the show? I did not. I thought you were going to do
See?
that.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah. Well, you pulled out your phone. I'm guessing that you're going to do that right now.
I'm going to do it right now.
So I'm going to fill in your spot and say that this is the podcast dedicated to the
How
Fox
about I do it?
television show.
We can just cut it. Ready?
No, we're on
No.
video. There's no cut in the video. I don't edit the video.
Well, see, they get
If we have a train wreck,
They-
it's on the video.
they get the extra bonus footage on the video. Comic strip live.
Yes, I do remember this vaguely,
Never even heard of it.
but I couldn't tell you a single thing about it. I just remember there being a show by that title.
It sounds kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, did people dress up as Archie and
Jughead,
Veronica?
Popeye.
Veronica.
Mm-hmm.
No?
I don't know if they did or not. Maybe it was just like a comic, like a stand-up type of thing.
Could be.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But we are here talking today about the latest Fringe episode. Today is October the 14th, and the latest Fringe episode is The Recordist, as I mentioned in the preview there. Written by Graham Rowland and directed by Jeff Thomas. Got some really fantastic things to share with you guys today in our Fringe binge. Let's get to it.
It's time to get the scoop on Fringe. It's the Fringe Binge. The Fringe Binge.
Alrighty, now some of this is stuff that we mentioned last week. We're going to keep doing this because we want you guys to stay aware of some of the exciting things that are going on. But this is exciting to me. We mentioned last week that the Season 4 soundtrack was going to be available via iTunes, and it is now available. I downloaded it this week. I now own it. It is awesome. I love it. Chris Tilton is so talented. I love the music that he does. And so it is now available for download in iTunes. I haven't checked Amazon, but I'm going to assume that it's there. It will be available in print copy if you still like the hard CDs. You can buy that October the 30th. Clint, have you picked up your copy yet?
I have not.
Mute button fail again.
I know. It's typical Clint.
Yes,
I have not.
I see.
And actually, I like original soundtracks.
I know you do. That's why
Quite
I
a
asked.
bit.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, is the music unique enough between season 3 and 4 to warrant buying a new CD? Of course, we want to support the show, but
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough question because I'm going to buy it no matter what. I love it all, and there are some definitely some fresh content there. But there's some of those themes are the same
right.
themes that they're built upon. So
Just variations of that same theme.
that's right. Yeah. But
But it seems like the difference between season 1 and season 2, there were some
definitely
big differences.
Definitely.
And then a little bit with the red verse themes that they
Mhm.
had musically in season 3.
Right.
Season 4, I can't imagine that they would be a whole lot different.
Yeah, but it's still good stuff.
Yes.
I recommend getting it and supporting the creative team there at Fringe.
Yep.
Another way that you can support the creative team at Fringe is by joining the celebrating 5 years of Fringe that the folks over at More Than One of Everything are doing. This is something we've been mentioning again, but it's your way of being able to contribute to an award that they are making for each of those folks. So go ahead and go over to morethanOneofEverything.net and look for the celebrating 5 years of Fringe, and there's a place there on the right-hand side that you can make a contribution to help provide those gifts to the team at Fringe.
It's very true. I wanted to talk a little bit about the schedule. We don't know a whole lot, but we
got
do
some
know
clarity this week, though.
we do know a little bit,
Yeah.
right? next week, because of the trailer in the end of this week, we did confirm that they're not going to have it next week.
Which we felt really solid about that because you can go on and see when the NLCS is and when they have game scheduled, and there was a definite conflict.
Sure. Absolutely. But we did confirm that the 26th will be episode 4.
And that we will get 4 straight. The masked scheduler who does the scheduling for Fox, that's his Twitter handle, he came on and said that there will be 4 straight episodes when it comes back on the 26th.
Which I'm very excited about.
Yeah.
So episode 4 is entitled The Bullet That Saved the World. And of course, every year Fringe does a very special episode on episode 4. Episode 5 is an origin story, and we don't currently have titles for episodes 6 and 7 yet.
That's right. That's right. They are going to be doing a somewhat of a special. You mentioned the special episode, and that reminded me. Usually the 19th episode of the season is a special episode. We had Brown Betty, and we had LSD. Last year we had Letters of Transit. The first season they didn't do one. They are going to be doing somewhat of a different episode again this year. I'm trying to remember which episode he said it was going to be. Maybe 11 or something like that.
Okay. Makes sense.
Maybe so. 9 or 11.
It's got to be. It has to be 9 because they did, or 10 possibly, because they did say 11, 12, and 13 are
all one.
Story.
That's true. That's true. So maybe it's 9 or 10. He said on Twitter this week, and I didn't make a note of it. I just happened to remember it when you said that. And the reason he said it this week, they released it, and we'll talk about this in our episode discussion. But you saw the boy with the comic book drawings that he did. When they released a teaser video this week prior to the episode airing that had a lot of those same pictures in it. And so some folks were tweeting and wondering if this week's episode was going to be an animated special episode.
Yeah.
And I think it was Joel came back and said, no, episode whatever is going to be special.
Oh, cool.
So I wish I'd made note of that. I mean, if anyone in the chat remembers, I'm surprised Zero Fights hasn't given the answer to that because that's the type of thing that he's usually aware of.
That's because he's left the chat room.
Oh, did he?
Yep.
Oh, well, that's why. All right. So you mentioned we don't have episode title names for 6 or 7. So we're going to get 4 in a row after a 1-week break, and then we don't know when it comes back. The rumor was that once it came back from that second break, so we're getting a break this week of 1 week. Then we're going to get 4, and then there's going to be a break. And the rumor was that once it came back from that second break, which will be longer, that it would be straight through.
Be cool.
Yeah, so what would that be? 6 episodes straight?
Yeah, that's right. That'd make... would kind of make sense.
Yeah. Now, the finale. Here's what we know about the finale. We still do not know a 100% confirmed date on the finale. Fox has not said anything publicly on when the finale is. The folks over at Fringe Television are listing the finale as February the 1st. So that's pretty cool. Now, Joel mentioned February the 1st a month or two ago on Twitter and then redacted that. You know, he could have redacted it because they didn't want that date out yet or it was the wrong date. So we don't know for sure when the Fringe Season 5 finale will be.
That's right.
We are thinking it's most likely February the 1st, if not the Friday before, which would be January the 25th. So kind of mark those 2 dates on your calendar as February 1st being the most likely date, with January 25th being the second most likely date, and kind of plan for that. That's what we're doing anyway. We think February 1st is the most likely date, but there's nothing that's been officially announced.
Yeah, I think, don't buy plane tickets.
Right.
At this point.
At least non-refundable ones.
Yeah, that's true.
And that is Super Bowl weekend. That's the other thing. February 1st is the Friday of Super Bowl weekend.
Be a great weekend for Fox.
What better place to spend Super Bowl weekend than in Oklahoma City?
That's true.
We are a great sports town.
That's true. We've got the Thunder, which are our professional basketball team, and then the OU Sooners, which are our professional football team.
Right. Thanks, Clint. That joke somehow never gets old.
Nope.
But yeah, so we'll keep you posted on that. But I know a lot of you guys are wanting to make plans, and as soon as something is made official, 100%, whatever, we'll let you guys know. But that's the best we can offer at this point. Podcast awards close tomorrow. Nominations close tomorrow. I mentioned earlier this is October the 14th. If you're joining us in the live show, you have today and tomorrow. Of course, this episode will be in the podcast feed on Monday morning, first thing. So if you're listening to this on Monday, Today is the last day you can nominate us for a podcast award. After that, if we become finalists, then we'll let you know, and then you can vote every single day for us if we become a finalist. But if you want to nominate us, go over to podcastawards.com. We are asking for your vote in the best produced and in the entertainment category. The name of our podcast is, of course, The Fringe Podcast, and our website URL is thefringepodcast.com.
That's right.
It's tough to remember, isn't it?
It is. No, what'd you say?
The Fringe Podcast.
The French podcast?
The French Podcast.
Oui. Okay.
And we've gotten a lot of folks that have tweeted us or Facebooked us or emailed us and let us know that you have nominated us.
Yes.
And if we get to be a finalist, if we win or not, either way, we genuinely appreciate your support and just the fact that you think that we're worthy of a nomination. It means a lot to us, and we really appreciate it.
That's
All right.
true.
Clint, you've adjusted your Bunsen burner, I see.
I did.
Yes. You want to go first, or shall I go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
No, I'm going to let you go first this week.
Okay. I gave it 7.5 mad scientist goggles.
Mm-hmm. I like those goggles that he had. You know what I really liked about it?
What's that?
The fact that they drew him in the goggles in the comic book.
Yes.
And then he put them on
Yes.
in the episode.
That was pretty cool.
It was awesome.
That picture of him in the goggles and that mad
Yes.
scientist, that's my desktop background at work.
I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I gave it 7.9 barks up the wrong tree.
I don't get it.
You don't?
No, I do. I'm just giving you
Okay.
a hard time.
That was a rough joke.
That kind of bark, huh? All right, episode recap time.
All right.
The episode begins in the Harvard lab. Astrid and Walter are using the laser to free the first tape from the amber. They liberate the tape and realize that it is tape number 3. They need to go to rural Pennsylvania to find the first piece they need to eradicate the observers. The tape is damaged and some parts are hard to understand, so Astrid stays behind to decipher it. The team arrives in Pennsylvania and begins searching. Etta tells Olivia that she used to imagine them on missions battling together. Etta tells Olivia that she is even more than she imagined. They soon realize they are being watched. They are captured and taken to the camp of a friendly group of refugees. The people have harnessed solar energy and are living off the grid out of sight from the observers. They have chronicled human history since the time of the observer invasion. The recordist is a man named Edwin, and he recognizes the Fringe team. Edwin leads Walter to an underground bunker and shows him the records. Edwin says that a man named Donald came to visit them 5 weeks after the invasion. Donald was expecting to meet a scientist from Boston, but the scientist never showed up. Edwin believes the scientist was likely Walter, but Walter has no recollection of a man named Donald. Donald eventually gave up and went into a nearby mine to get some rocks with a reddish hue. The observers came and captured him, and the refugees never saw him again. The Fringe team investigates the mine and discovers that something from inside the mine is causing the refugees' skin to crust over like bark. The closer you get to the mine, the more severely it affects you. Walter decides to make a safety suit so they can go down in the mine and get to the rocks they need. Olivia and Peter head to the van to get weather stripping for the suit. Olivia tells Peter that the reason she left him in Boston was because she felt responsible. She wanted to be a mother, but didn't think she was programmed that way. Ever since she was a kid, ever since the Cortexiphan trials, she was at odds. How could she have this incredible girl? When Olivia lost her, she felt like it was her punishment for being too conflicted to appreciate Etta when she had her. So she went back to New York because she didn't want to find what she knew they were going to find. Olivia believed strongly that Etta was dead, and she didn't want to see it. Olivia tells Peter that he thought she went back because of her strength, and Etta told her that she admired her, but she doesn't see herself that way. Peter encourages her by telling her not to live in the past. He doesn't know why it's happening, but their family got a second chance, and he's going to take it. Meanwhile, Windmark and the observers discover the location of the Fringe team and dispatch a team of loyalists to capture them. Etta's resistance friends learn about the dispatch call and warn the Fringe team about the loyalists. There is now no time to build a safety suit. Edwin decides to sacrifice himself and get the stones the Fringe team needs. Before he leaves, he tells his son, River, goodbye. Edwin says that a coward is not someone who is afraid, but rather someone who knows what needs to be done and doesn't do it. Edwin says that there is a time for recording history, and there's a time for making it. Wanting to help give his son a world to flourish in, he says goodbye and enters the mine. He gets the rocks needed for the Fringe team, but does not make it out of the mine alive. The Fringe team escapes the Loyalists just before they close in on the area. They find an old station wagon, and Peter hotwires it. The team is now stronger than they were when they started, and energized by finding the first piece of the plan. They drive off into the dawn of a new day, ready to find the next tape and close in on their showdown with the Observers. It's scary that both of us started playing the piano at the same time.
That's because my air piano is so much better than yours. I've been practicing.
I mean, have we
for at
ever?
least 7 years.
Have either of us ever decided to air play the piano at that point?
I don't know. Maybe.
And then we both decided to do it on the same day at the same time.
Maybe.
We're like in the zone today, Clint.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome sauce. Speaking of awesome,
Mm-hmm.
what do you say we get into a little science of tomorrow?
Sounds delicious.
We're looking into the science of tomorrow. We're looking into the science. Oh, Clint, please tell us what's the science of tomorrow. Oh, Clint, please tell us about science. Take us to your wiki leader.
All right. This week we've got 2 topics. Not one, but
What?
2. We went from, I don't know what we're going to do this season to having 2 topics.
This is awesome, man.
This is awesome.
So unexpected. This is great.
So for the first one, you may want to put down your cookie because we're going to be talking about epidermodysplasia
Should I toss my cookie?
vericoformis. You might when we're done.
All right, I'm going to keep munching. We'll see how this goes.
This is a disease. It's a recessive genetic disorder. It's a skin disorder.
Okay.
That people who are infected with normal human papillomaviruses get these incredible skin lesions on their extremities, and it looks like they're turning into a tree. It's also called tree man's disease, or I can't even say this, Lewandowski-Lutz dysplasia.
The Great Lebowski?
Yes, and I put a video, and we'll put it online, YouTube video in the show notes.
Okay.
You might pull that up. Just take a look, Daryl, and tell me what you think. But it really looks like this person is this man is from Indonesia, and they did a special on Discovery about him. It really looks like he's growing into a tree.
I think I've seen this before. I'm sitting through an ad right now,
And
I have the sound muted so I don't disrupt you. But
Ad.
I'm going to take a look at this.
all right,
But
so
I'm thinking I've seen this before.
it was very interesting. You know, I thought that this kind of has a basis in science.
Yes, I have seen this before.
Yeah, you see his hands.
Uh-huh.
That is kind
And
of
it's a fungus?
Well, it makes him susceptible. No, it's not fungus. It makes him susceptible to skin growth.
Okay.
So think of it like a really, 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 really bad case of the warts,
Okay.
where they get these lesions
Can they cut them off or will that
that
kill them?
grow. I think they can cut off some of them, but they're mostly treated with medicines. That was the first thing. The second thing was, it just so happened that Disney released a video this week of they've developed a new 3D printed technology
Okay.
where they use an optical grade plastic to print these fiber optic paths,
Okay.
which is really, really cool. I think it's cool.
That sounds awesome, actually.
And so we'll put the link to an article written about that along with the video in the chat room right now.
There it is.
And you should definitely check that out. It's really kind of cool, the stuff that they're doing with it, but it reminded me a lot of the blocks that they put on the thing that projected all of the video. I mean, it's basically, this is the precursor to that technology, and it's really cool. So they're able to print these visual paths into the block, and it stores the information visually on the within the cube or the the 3D printed light bulb or whatever they print, and then when they put light into one end, it displays it all over. It's pretty cool.
Huh.
Very similar to what we saw
I
this
can't
week
wait
in
to
the
see
show.
that. That's actually sounds pretty awesome.
So they're doing some cool stuff with it.
Now, is it like, does it have like a memory storage capacity to it?
There's no memory. All it is, it's these paths of light that they just 3D print this block. You shine a light on the bottom, and it sends the light through these paths and then projects the image. So
Okay.
it's almost like printing a picture, except it's in this clear block where you put a light in, and then it projects light around a room, around a surface. So it's
Right.
pretty cool.
That sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just loved I loved the way that they did those overlays I'm sure that was in, obviously in post-edit of some sort, but I mean, it really did look like, it was just floating in like Minority Report or something like that. It was really
Super cool.
It was super cool. Yeah. I have screen captures of all of those. I think I was able to capture every image that was shown, because some of them, because they were kind of spinning around, you could see some of them more than one time, and I'll put all of those in the show notes for this episode.
Oh, very
as well.
cool.
But that
That's
was
exciting.
a really, really cool effect, really cool technology they were demonstrating there.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome to think that what you're describing really could be the precursor to that. I mean, that's what excited us about Fringe,
In the
especially
first
you
place.
from the very beginning.
Yeah,
It was
absolutely.
this little nugget that's based in where we're at now, and then imagining where that is down the road. And this is based in 2036.
Right.
So it's reasonable to think that they could have the technology advanced at that
Absolutely.
stage. Although they're kind of in I wouldn't call them a post-apocalyptic time frame now. There's a better word for it that's not coming to me, but you would think there would be some stunt in
Technological development. Well, I would certainly agree with you for the most part. But that said, this was kind of an alcove, an outpost of humanity that has continued, working on these advancing technologies. We saw them give schematics for solar power, and they've worked on these technologies that they can't move. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And, for what it's worth, 3D printing right now is having a boom. There are companies now working on commercialization. In the past, 3D printing was something that was done for prototyping for these really big companies like Lockheed Martin and Raytheon, that make military components. My company has had a 3D printer for a number of years, and we use it for making parts. But those systems are $10,000, $15,000 for the cheap ones.
Wow.
And
I'll take 3.
Yeah, exactly. But there are companies now that are making them under $1,000.
No way.
Yeah. Where
Wow.
we're getting to that area, and these are hobby type machines, but pretty soon, the Hewlett Packards of the world, the company that really perfected inkjet technology, they're going to start producing these, and you're going to see them come down to probably $100, $200 price, and then we'll all have 3D printers be able to print 3D printed stuff in our homes.
That'd be pretty awesome.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, your something breaks in the house, and you're able to print off a new replacement piece or something like that.
Yeah, which I've actually done for work.
I know you have. You showed me
Yeah.
that before. Yeah.
Yeah, where some little doohickey part will break off of a toy. Instead of having to buy a new toy, I just take the piece. They've got 3D laser scanners. You can scan the piece and then send the CAD drawing to a 3D printer. Print off a new part.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Yep.
Well, great. We'll have the links to all this stuff that we've talked about in our show notes. Again, this is episode 506 of the Fringe Podcast. So when we say show notes, just go over to our website at thefringepodcast.com and look for episode 506. Click on that, and it'll bring up the player where you can play the podcast, and it'll also have all of these things that we're talking about here in Clint's Wonderful Science of Tomorrow segment. Very good, Clint.
All right.
Brought your A game today. I hope you brought your A game for food for thought.
We'll see.
Root beer float.
Butterscotch pudding.
Mr. Papaya. Fruit cocktail. Coffee yogurt.
grapevines.
We saw grapevines this week.
marijuana, and apple pills.
Apple pills. That's
Yes.
it. That's the new one for this week. Apple pills.
Awesome.
All right. The glyphs spelled anger, and the observer, we did see Windmark. He might have been the only observer we saw this week.
We did. You're right. I think you're right. We saw a lot of loyalists.
We saw a lot of loyalists. Yeah. We're also getting, and we've heard some of these before, but as the season is going on and we are learning the vernacular of the current timeline or the current date period of people, observers is really only something that the original Fringe team is calling
That's
them.
right.
Otherwise, they're calling them baldies or invaders.
Yeah.
And so I've kind of started a list of names that they're calling them. But those are the two most prominent ones that I've picked up on as baldies and invaders. So much for PC, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, Baldy. How you doing, man?
Well, they're not going to give him a real nice name.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
Yeah.
You know?
That's true. They kind of don't like them.
They're not big fans.
Yeah. They're not asking them to autograph their comic
Yes.
books, are they?
Nope.
All right. So, gosh, where do we want to start the discussion today? I didn't put this in any type of order this week. So, good, bad, or otherwise, we'll just kind of tackle it the way it is, I suppose. The first thing, talking about the tree stuff that you were mentioning in your Science of Tomorrow segment, I thought the makeup this week was fantastic. It really did look like bark that was on them. The way they made some of their veins look like they were approaching the surface of their skin.
Yeah.
And it seemed to be consistent too. I was like, our main guy, he had a little thing that came up on his chin right here, and I was watching that all episode long to see if it moved at any at any time, just even a little, and because I'm sure they weren't able to film all of this in one day. These people had to have a makeup applied more than one day, I'm sure.
Yep.
And they did a great job. It looked really, really cool, I thought. What were your thoughts on it?
I thought the makeup was fantastic. It's funny because I was talking with my wife about the episode, what she liked, what she thought I should talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that she said is, you could talk about how bad the makeup was.
Wow.
Yeah, which was odd. I thought the makeup was fantastic this episode,
Man.
especially compared to some of the CG effects we've gotten in previous episode.
Yeah.
I'll take real, honest to goodness, creature makeup
Mm-hmm.
over CG 9 times out of 10
Yeah.
because CG is so hard to do really, really well.
And you
it
said
looks
that
fake.
too, like when they had the rubber mask man in the it wasn't in the transformation, it was the counterpart to
yeah.
that.
The retransformation. I don't know.
There you go. And you were okay with the rubber mask
Yeah,
man,
right?
Because it was better than CG. Probably would
I
have been.
think. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say that the boy in the episode, and I guess we could talk about child acting since we're talking about the boy, but he and it was probably.
That was one of those long growing sneezes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it was like never going to come out. It was probably because the boy, his face was covered and he had a good set of hair on him, but he reminded me of the boy from Jumanji when he was when he was turned into a monkey.
Turn into a monkey. That was
yeah,
that was a good
it just reminded me of that.
a good catch.
Yeah. What about the child acting? What'd you think?
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
All things considered,
Yeah.
it wasn't terrible.
I liked him. I liked him quite a bit. He did a thing there when his dad was talking. His dad basically told the group that he wasn't going to help. They were on their own. And he just looked at him. He didn't say anything. The boy didn't say anything. He gave him a look that said everything. Yeah. And that was really good. You know what I mean?
That's good acting.
Some kids can act angry and some kids can cry and all that sort of thing. But if you can do a look that says what you need to say, well, that's quite another level of acting, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And no words are required. So good job, I thought, by the boy actor this week.
I thought he did a good job too.
Yeah.
And man, he's an amazing artist too.
And yeah, I don't know how they were able to cast a good actor and an amazing artist.
I don't know, but yeah, those comic books were really cool. I thought it was a nice nod to, kind of the comic books that had been running in the background and the comic book fans for the show.
Yeah.
I hope that we get some of those comic book stories.
Yeah.
Because we really haven't gotten any.
No, they did do this week. I mentioned the video earlier
Right.
in the podcast. They did what did they call them? I'm pulling it up on YouTube right now. It was a really cool video that they released. I'm going to put the link to this video in the chat room. It'll also be in our show notes. It's like a 1 minute video that shows the artwork that. Oh man, I'm getting an error from YouTube. Let's try that again. But it showed the artwork that was in that same comic book. Here it is.
Cool.
Humanity's Only Hope is the name of it. And it's just those stills, that they were looking at in that same comic book there. There's Walter and the mad scientist goggles. But it also gives you some insight on how the battle went down. It's really cool. It's only, it's 20 seconds. It's not even a minute. It's 20 seconds. But it's really, really cool. And like I said, this is in the show notes and gives you at least a little bit of a better look at the panels that were in that comic book that Peter was looking at specifically, I think.
Yep. Very cool. I was kind of excited this week because we returned to a case of the week.
We did.
In a sense that we had a, beginning, middle, and end. It felt more like Fringe again.
Yes, it did.
Where I had complained that the first episode felt a little disjointed because, there was nothing to anchor it.
Right.
There's no A storyline. I felt like we had kind of returned to Fringe. And between last week was kind of a case of the week, sort of.
Sort of.
This was definitely a case of the week.
Yeah.
That said, I didn't really like this week as much as last week.
Well, that's interesting. That was going to be my next question for you because you gave it a 7.9. I gave it a 7.5.
Yeah.
And I also mentioned you've changed your rating. I changed mine too. Mine was originally an 8, and I think yours was originally an 8.5.
Yeah.
And you came down to a 7.9, and I came down to a 7.5. I felt the same way. I mean, yes, it did feel like a case of the week, and I liked that about it. But I think my desires have changed for what I want this season, and so it might be more of a reflection on what my expectations were rather than it being a reflection on the quality or the content of the episode. But having said that, I mean, I felt like we just kind of hung out in this one spot. Are we really going to go on this scavenger hunt week after week trying to find these things? And I'm not sure that I'm excited about that. But I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth here, though.
Okay.
Friday morning, I'm thinking about Fringe as I'm going to work. I mean, I'm just excited about Fringe. It's Fringe Friday, right?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, are we going to get scavenger hunt tonight? And sure enough, we did. And again, this is Friday morning before I saw the episode. But then I said, you know what? These guys are awesome. The writers are awesome. The showrunners are awesome. And there's been many times before, not many, but a few times before where we've said, I don't know about this. And they always make it pay off. So was I a little disappointed in this week's episode? Yeah. Did it not have the action that I wanted? And did it not move the story with the observers as far as long as I wanted and all that sort of thing? Did it fill in more backstory as much as I wanted with the whole what happened in that lapse of time? No, it didn't do any of those things for me. Not as much as I wanted. But I still have full faith that at the end of the season we're going to go, man, that was it all makes sense now.
Yeah. I think my rating was down from last week for maybe a little bit different reason, and it really didn't have anything to do with the scavenger hunt. I've seen that done well, the whole scavenger hunt thing, and I've seen it done terrible. And like you just said, we trust the writers. They're going to take us someplace amazing.
Uh-huh.
So if that's where they want to take us, I'm on board.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. The reason that I kind of knocked it down a notch was not because we didn't get the mythology, although there were some frustrating things there, but was because I thought that this was a really interesting dynamic, from a character development, character exploration standpoint, and I felt that they kind of sold themselves a little short, and I don't know if it was because of time or what. I didn't feel like they really dug into the relationship between the father and the dad enough.
Right.
And there was a nice parallel there between what Olivia and Peter did in the interim, with Etta, and kind of that whole situation versus what the father and the son did and what they're doing, right, and the sacrifices.
Sure.
that were made. That wasn't explored at all. When Peter and Olivia ran off by themselves.
Yeah.
Didn't say bye to Etta. Didn't say, oh my goodness, we're worried we may never see you again. I mean, to me, they have this perfect storm set up for kind of character exploration, right?
Right.
And I don't think that they executed as much as I would have liked. So
yeah, no, I think we're probably on the same page. But having said all of that, there was some great lines of dialogue in this episode. I think the dialogue between Peter and Olivia and the van. I think the dialogue between the father and the son. Edwin is his name. Rivers,
right.
The son's name. Before Edwin decided to go down into the mine. So there was some really great dialogue that we're going to see when we do the quote of the week. But I don't know. It was still a little bit, maybe disjointed a little bit. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's the right word or not.
Yeah.
But and we're probably coming down harder than it seems. I still loved the episode. Fringe is still better than nearly everything on television, or on most days it is better than anything on television. And so that hasn't changed in my opinion at all. Had some great funny moments too.
yeah,
Walter
Walter wanting to stay back at the lab.
Yeah.
After he uncovers his bong.
He just needed to kind of refresh himself a little bit.
Refresh himself.
Yeah. I even like the opening dialogue between him and Astrid, where he, said that she had all the grace of a butcher or something to that effect, and she's cutting the tape out of the amber.
Yeah. What was up with that?
I think it was just them giving each other a hard time.
It was funny until Walter took credit for finding the tape.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, I have to ask this. I know it's your thing in the notes.
Okay.
About Astrid.
Yes.
So they're in the eye of the storm, the heart of the beast.
Yes.
In Harvard.
They are inside enemy territory.
And so what do? They leave Astrid by herself.
Yeah.
Without food or water or a bathroom.
Yeah. With
only a Betamax and marijuana to keep her company.
And they already got, somebody came in there last week already.
Exactly.
I thought it was a terrible idea to leave her alone.
No, and they've got, they're communicating back and forth via, I guess, cell phones.
I guess, which apparently aren't being monitored.
I guess not.
They're 10 hours away. If the roads are fully passable to with no checkpoints to avoid or anything like that, it's 10 hours to where those coordinates were in eastern or western Pennsylvania.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I didn't like that. And now I'm wondering, are they going to go back and get her now? Is she going to stay in the lab?
I hope so.
I'm concerned. About Astrid.
That was one frustrating thing.
Yeah.
Another frustrating thing is, I enjoyed the conversation with Peter and Olivia.
Yeah.
But my goodness, they're going, I don't know what happened to her. Why don't they just ask Etta what happened?
I would love to see that too. Give us some dialogue while they're in the station wagon or the van prior to
Etta,
that.
When we lost you, what happened to you?
What happened to you? Yeah.
Just a nod to the audience.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
Even if she says it's too painful for me to talk about. Okay, at least we've addressed that path and we're going to have to find out another way, right?
Right. Or I don't remember. I was unconscious and I woke up and I was here.
Okay,
I have no idea what happened.
Yes.
Yeah. But I will tell you, we're going to talk about the contest in a little while. We have a contest entry that addresses that.
Oh, cool.
And it's really well done.
Yeah.
It's really well done. But, that's a question that obviously people are thinking about. I think that contest entry proves that point. It's something that, people are wanting to know the answer to and even coming up with their own ideas on what might have happened.
It's just frustrating.
I think we're going to get that. I think your point is that would seem to be one of the first things that you would want when you had the opportunity, which they did. They had a 10-hour drive out here to Western Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
they could have shown us some of that drive time and had some dialogue along the way.
Okay, or how about the entire first episode where all it was is hugging and kissing and making up, right?
No. That needed to be. Are you kidding me? You haven't seen your child in 20 or 15 years?
Right.
You're going to...
The first thing you say is, oh my goodness, I'm glad you're alive. The second thing you do is you slap them for running off. And the third thing you do is what happened. The first is ask what happened, right?
Well, apparently the first thing is
This is like losing a kid at the mall on
Yeah.
steroids.
yeah, something like that. The first thing apparently you do is you say, "You're beautiful. No, you're beautiful. No, you're beautiful. No, you're beautiful."
Ridiculous.
I like that scene though.
All right, I've got 2 questions for you.
All right, lay
This
them
is,
on me.
this is just to get your theoretical juices flowing here.
All right.
What if Etta is not Etta?
Oh, dang. Like she's a clone or something,
A
or just a
clone,
plant?
an observer plant,
Because they would have no idea what she
right?
looks like. Gosh, no way. No way.
You don't think so?
No way. No.
I don't know.
I'm not putting bananas on that, but no, I can't.
All right. The other thing is, you know, when they were in Demici's, or what was the name of the pie store?
The pie oh, they were in Donovan's.
Donovan's.
Mhm.
Demici's, Donovan's.
I remember because of Donovan McNabb. That's
Oh.
I
would.
I have an association
You
with it,
would.
and now I
You
know
would.
it. Yeah.
You know, they mentioned all of the missing children posters in the background.
Right.
What happened to the kids?
Yeah.
What about the children, Daryl?
I believe that children are the future.
I'm not going to bite.
Oh,
I'm not going to bite.
Come on.
What happened to the children? Did they get converted into loyalists? Was it like the Hitler Youth Program?
I think they got taken to an island in the Pacific.
Did they get experimented on?
There's an island in the Pacific that women there for some reason can't seem to have children,
Okay.
and so they took them there
Hey, wouldn't that be cool if there was a time? No, that wouldn't be cool.
with some polar bears.
With some polar bears.
Yes. I think that's another thing we need to get answered.
Because that's what I want to know. I want to
Yeah.
know what happened to all the kids.
Yeah.
And how did Etta make it out?
Yeah, I mean, because I think the wanted posters, were they all for children? Do we know that they were all for children, or were they just not wanted, missing?
Well,
rather?
she said she took a look at all the children missing on
Yeah.
the posters. in the
because
background.
there would be a lot of people just missing, like any disaster.
Sure,
We
right.
experienced that here in Oklahoma City when
Right.
we had the Murrah building. There
Right.
are missing
but
people
they weren't
posters
all
everywhere.
children.
No, they weren't. That's why I ask you the question. Do we know that they were children? I didn't go back and really comb through the detail on that, whether they were just missing people or truly missing children. Did she say missing children because that's what they were looking for, or was that really what all the posters were missing children?
I don't know.
Yeah. And the other part of that is, remember what the nurse said to both of them, I think, in both of their flashbacks there in that triage tent was, there were no children.
Yeah.
Where's my daughter? She was right with me. And they said there were no children.
So-
You're in a park. There are children there.
Yeah.
So
Well, we saw
that
them in the
to me
flashback.
is a more definite clue that there is something weird going on with the children
Right.
at the point of the occupation or invasion.
Oh man, Hydra Island. That's like Sophie's Choice. Hydra Island asked me what would be worse,
Oh.
watching Bad Child acting all season, or watching season 6 of Lost all over again.
Hey, speaking of watching things, this guy right here
Yeah.
watched Gattaca this week.
You
Can I
did?
have my nerd card back,
Yeah,
please?
I don't know. I'm sure we'll find another reason to revoke it. We'll just put it on probation.
All right.
Did you?
fine.
Did you watch it?
I did.
Was it good?
I liked it. I gave
Yes.
it an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Back to the episode here.
All right. Let's see. What else do we got?
I think that this episode did continue to hit home some of the tried and true themes of Fringe.
I agree.
Some of the things that we love most about Fringe. I mentioned in our review, season 4 recap and predictions episode 501,
Uh-huh.
that Fringe is not just a story about what would you do for someone that you love. Fringe is a love story. And this episode continued to punctuate that. We have the story of Peter and Olivia and what would they do to find the one that they loved. Now, Olivia took a different take on it. We found out why she made the decision she did to go on back to Boston, I guess it was.
Yeah.
But even the story of of Edwin and River, what would you do for someone you love? He sacrificed himself. He knew full well he would die.
Yeah.
And he sacrificed himself on the hope that his son would have a world that he could flourish in.
That's right.
No guarantee, but just the hope that that world would come about by his selfless act. You know, again, a story of what would you do for someone you love.
Hope makes people do crazy things.
And inspiring things sometimes.
No, I mean, yeah, not crazy in a bad way.
Yeah.
But, you know, he knew what his job was. It's
Right.
to record human history so it wasn't lost.
Right.
And he gave all of that up so that his son could have a 0.5% chance of actually living a normal life.
Right. Yeah.
Very, very, very true.
And a story of courage, too. And I think that might be more of the theme that we're going to continue to see this season. We saw a lot of dialogue in this episode about the role of a hero, or what is a hero, what is courage. And so I'm thinking those are some themes that we kind of need to keep our eye out as the larger themes for this season.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. What else with you, man?
I've got a couple of little things. Let's see. What else do I have? We already talked about that one. Okay, let me ask about the videos.
Okay.
We found video 3,
Yes.
which by all accounts was 6 feet from the camera.
Right.
Did Walter just hide all the videos in different places in his own lab?
I don't know, man. I'm confused as well. I thought they were going to find a tape when they got to...
I thought they were going to find the rocks and a tape, right?
Yeah.
Tape 4 or whatever, right?
Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do.
What's that?
That was the lost music.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Lost? What's that?
Shut up.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So are the other tapes in the lab, or where are the other...
How are they going to
Tapes.
are they going to stumble on the other tapes?
I don't know. They had to dig quite a little cave into the amber to get
They
tape
did.
number 3.
Which looked pretty cool.
Yeah, it did.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
I will bet that they're going to get back to the lab and Astrid will be like, I finished adjusting the tracking on the rest of the tape and it said to go look for the next tape
Yeah.
here and here and here.
So it's a double scavenger hunt. One part getting the tape, and then the other part
Getting
following the
part.
instructions on the tape
I
to
guess
find
so.
whatever
I
part
guess
they
so.
need. I don't know.
I guess so.
I like I said, I'm not real excited about that, but I do totally trust the people running this show. So we'll see how it goes.
All right. Let's talk about the rocks for a little bit.
All right. I want to rock.
I want to rock with you all night. Dance with you in the moonlight. Rock with you all night. Dance the night away. Sing it, Daryl.
I don't know all the lyrics. That was great, man. Yeah.
No?
Little
Okay.
Michael Jackson
Yeah.
going on there. Yeah.
Ow!
I'm glad you didn't do any crotch grabbing.
Who said I didn't?
Well, we know we don't wear pants when we podcast, right?
Pants.
Mike's on, pants off.
That's right.
So yeah, the rocks. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. What do you got? You
Well,
have anything for the rocks?
I guess I have a little bit. I wish I could know who to give credit to. I think I probably would have, as I was dissecting the episode, this probably would have occurred to me. But it first occurred to me from somebody that was in the chat room on Friday, and I apologize that I can't give Barbara credit. But they first pointed out that these are rocks, and when Windmark was interrogating Walter in the season 5
Mhm.
premiere, he said something. He was like, "You have a plan. What is the plan?" He's trying to piece
Yeah.
these things together, and at some point he said, "What are the stones?
Yeah.
What are you going to do with them?" You know?
Yeah.
And here we have some rocks, some stones. Is
Okay.
this what was alluded to in that interrogation?
Sure.
You think so?
I think so.
I think it's very, very likely, yeah.
I think so.
They seem to
Or maybe
be-
this is like the starting material for the stones.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean by that? The starting material?
Well, this is raw. This is raw crystals, right?
right.
Maybe they have to refine them to something.
Right.
What it reminded me of was the amphilicite
Exactly did. Yes, it did.
of David Robert Jones last
Mhm.
season.
Yep. Yeah, these are definitely the power source. We got
Right.
that from the episode.
Also, the planet Krypton.
Mm-hmm.
Reminded me a little of that. Superman.
Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. There's no Krypton.
It's not in our solar system, Daryl.
What solar system is it from?
Galaxia.
Is it from Gattaca?
No.
Okay.
Here's what I didn't get.
All right.
All these people have this disfiguring tree disease,
Mm-hmm.
and we know that people that went down into the cave of wonders.
I thought there was going to be a cork down there.
I'm not even going to touch that. We know that they died from this tree bark skin disease, right?
It closed over all their pores.
So you know what sounds like a good idea? Let's take that thing that killed everybody, pull it up in a bucket, and stick it in the back of our minivan for a 10-hour, or station wagon for a 10-hour car ride.
Right. I know. So
Nothing bad is going to happen. What could possibly happen with this thing that causes us to die?
Oh man. Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. So was it something else down in the cave, or was it
I
the
guess.
actual rocks that were causing
I don't
this?
know.
It has to be something else.
That was not even addressed at all.
Otherwise, big plot hole, right?
We have to build the suit out of copper. But after the rocks are out, we'll just take them and put them in the back of our car.
Right.
Yeah.
They're saying in the chat room that it was CO2 that was doing it. They did mention that it had something to do with the observers' CO2, whatever.
Carbon monoxide is what they're putting in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
But it was a combination of that
And what was in the hole.
and what was in the cave,
Yeah.
which were these rocks.
When the closer you got to what was in the cave, the worse you got, which is why the dad wasn't able to make it out alive, because he got to the,
Yep.
the epicenter of it and just closed him up.
All right. We're getting people saying that didn't make any sense, and then other people saying, "Yeah, I don't understand it."
Yeah.
And then other people saying the rocks were not the cause.
Well, I'm going to assume that the rocks were not the cause, but I'm not sure what the cause was if it wasn't the rocks.
That seems like a pretty big plot hole that you'd want to kind of just at least nod.
Yeah. So did our Fringe team get rid of the bark that was on them, like because it didn't get into the dermis, or are they going to still be plagued by this exposure?
I think we saw the end of it.
Okay, I do too.
That's just my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, the invaders, as they're called, they're bad dudes. We got another instance of that. They'd been burning libraries.
That was on one of the stories that they pulled up there in the Recordist room or whatever it was called. Burned the libraries.
Just bad.
Yeah. We also saw Broyle's face on one of those stories.
Ooh, I missed that.
Yeah, let me pull it up. I have it right here in Photoshop. Let me see which one it was, because I had to reverse some of these because they were backwards. Well, maybe I need to take another shot of that. The one I have of Broyle's, he's on the opposite side. Fringe Division sanctioned to police. I can't read the last word. I'm reading it backwards and it's washed out there, but it's got Broyle's picture on it. So I'll get a better shot of that and I'll include that there on the show notes for this episode. But we haven't seen Broyle's yet. Here we are, 3 episodes into the season. We haven't seen Broyle's or Nina. I wasn't necessarily surprised not to see them in the pilot, but I thought we would have seen them by now.
Not too surprised.
Well, they were in
honest.
419, so we know they're around.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I think we'll see them soon.
I think we will.
I've been saying that, though. But
I think we'll see him in episode 5.
every episode that passes is one episode closer to getting to see them for the first time this season. Huh?
Huh?
Oh,
Whoa, that's deep.
yeah. Dwell on that for a minute.
It just blew my mind.
We also got a couple of other little insightful things. Clearly, Etta did not inherit Olivia's ability to her photographic memory, essentially.
That's true.
Olivia remembered all of the coordinates for the place there in Pennsylvania. Etta was like, "Can you repeat that, please?" And Olivia didn't need that. So apparently she got her dad's memory, not her mom's memory. We also got that there is at least another loyalist that is sensitive to the resistance.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, we sent back Manfredi last week. He said he was going to be on the side of the resistance. He's got an active face tat. He's going to go back and be a loyalist that's sensitive to the resistance.
True.
And here we got a guy that was a loyalist that called and tipped off the resistance that they were coming to hunt them down.
Yeah.
So that's good. This sets a precedent now that there are some loyalists that are sensitive to the resistance. And I imagine that's going to come into play later on in the season when the stuff hits the fan, that there will be loyalists who will come to the aid and help take them down from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And this set the precedent for that.
Yeah.
You like that?
I like it.
And, of course, we have a station wagon back. Fringe can't be Fringe without the presence
the
of...
shaggin' wagon?
Yeah. Although this is the type of thing that the listeners on Revolution would be ripping the show for, and that is that Peter was able to hotwire a car that had been sitting for probably 15 years. The battery would have been long dead. The gas probably would have either thickened or evaporated. You know, you wouldn't have just been able to hotwire it and go away.
That's true.
But I don't care. It was a nice little
nod to Fringe.
Yeah, it worked out. Don't worry. Don't get hung up on those little nitpicky
details. This is not a show that you dive into details about.
Not that kind of detail. Just go with it when it comes to that type of stuff.
It's not like there are people doing podcasts about this kind of show.
I mean, do you want an entire episode of them going, the battery's dead. Where are we going to get a new battery? Oh, now we've got to go on a scavenger hunt for a battery. Oh, now there's no gas. Well, let's go on another scavenger hunt for the gas. No, they started it up. Boom, they're gone. Story continues in the way that we want it to continue.
All right. All right, Daryl.
All right, Clint.
One last thing. You had it in your notes.
Uh-huh.
This was the twinge question, but I wanted to address it here so that people can go and listen to the feedback episode. And that was, who is Donald?
Mm-hmm.
Donald was mentioned as the one that was there looking for the stuff in the cave before when he got hauled off by the observers.
I think he's from Wisconsin, and he's the driver.
What?
Our Green Bay, Wisconsin fans will get that joke.
I don't know.
Donald Driver plays for the Green Bay Packers.
So you mean the one person that is from Wisconsin that listens to this podcast and also cares about football?
All right. No, if they're in Wisconsin, they very likely care about the Packers.
And Fringe?
Wisconsin folks, write in. Let us know you're listening so Clint knows that there's more than one of you. He's greatly underestimating you. So write in and let him know that you're listening. What do you think? Do you want to give our opinions here, or do you want to wait till the feedback?
Let's save it.
Okay, that's our twinge question for
I
the week.
definitely have mine.
Okay.
Zeppelin Driver says Fringe isn't Fringe without Gene.
Mm-hmm.
And I would agree with that. But I think that we're going to get to the end of the show, and throughout the rest of the show, they're going to keep cutting in the amber and keep cutting in the amber.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to finally make it back to Gene.
Oh, sure.
And how convenient will that be that they've got this laser? They can just cook Gene and cut out some of the meat, and then they can have, like, celebratory Gene hamburgers.
Oh, yeah.
I like that.
And she'll still be alive. Like, Gene, you're delicious. You've been just kind of marinating there for 15 years.
That's right.
The best beef I've ever had.
That's right.
Slice me off some more, Gene.
That's right. I like it.
Our vegetarian listeners are going to destroy us for this. You know, we did get hate mail for last week. We'll read that in the feedback podcast.
I'm so excited.
We got genuine hate mail. We got some faux, hate mail that we read on the last week's feedback podcast. But
Gene was in the amber.
Was she? I missed it. Is this a screen cap here?
Yep.
Great catch. Yes. When Astrid is at the Betamax machine, you see Gene in the background.
In the amber, see?
How did I miss that?
I'm telling you.
That's fantastic.
I'm telling you.
That's so cool.
Oh my goodness.
Because she's alive in there still, so I don't mind that she's in amber. That
Yes.
means she's still with us.
Of course, you all know that we were joking about the Gene hamburger situation.
Yeah, I'm sure that was utterly repulsive to some of you.
Oh. Well,
Utterly
moving
repulsive.
on. You know, Daryl,
Daryl.
this was a catch from I can't take credit for it, Entertainment Weekly.
Okay.
But they they did some fact checking. 49th parallel, which was what Walter actually mentioned instead of 41st parallel, which is in Canada.
Okay.
But Olivia heard it as 41st parallel. Long story. Anyways, that happens to be the Canadian title of a WW2 era propaganda movie that was released in the United States as The Invaders.
Oh, really?
And it stars Raymond Massey.
Massey was the last name of Edwin and River in this
That's
episode.
right.
Yeah.
So,
Huh.
coinkydink?
No,
I think not.
not at all.
I
These
think
guys know
not.
what they're doing.
Yes.
All right. So what do you think of the season so far? 3 episodes in.
Well, that's just what I was going to ask you. You know, I read several articles. Some are like, oh, this is the Fringe that we've wanted for 2-3 seasons now. Last season was a throwaway season. I'm so glad we've gotten back to real Fringe. And then I've read other articles that say Fringe had a good thing going. They wrapped it up at the end of season 4. This is such a waste. This is like X-Files in their last seasons with the unnecessary episodes that they're doing just as a cash grab.
Yeah.
And so, you know, as far as I can tell online, it's been a very polarizing season. Very polarizing.
I'm definitely more in the camp of that first one, where this is what we were hoping for. Like I said in the beginning of this season, we've been told since season 1 that a war is coming. This is that war. This is what I've been waiting for. So I'm pretty happy, even with this episode.
Yeah.
I know we probably came across as pretty negative on this episode. To me, it was the weakest episode of this season so far, but it's still a great episode.
Yeah.
And I like what's going on. I like where it's leading for sure.
I do too. I will say 3 episodes into season 4, I was in a pretty bad place as far as Fringe goes.
You were.
You know, I had no idea what they were going to do. The characters didn't feel the same.
Yep.
You know, I couldn't see how they could resolve it in a meaningful way that worked.
Mm-hmm.
And they ultimately did mostly. But, you know, if I 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you know, if I'm telling somebody to go watch Fringe, there's going to be 2 or 3 episodes from season 4 that I'm going to say are essential episodes. And, you know, for me, and the rest will come out of other seasons, and may come out of this one. So I'm really glad we got season 5. I really wanted a better wrap up.
Zero Fights is not happy at all with season 5 so far, it looks like. He's saying it's slow, and out of season 5, he would recommend no episodes.
There's only been 3 episodes. Man.
I don't know where that's coming from.
Okay.
I'm going to invalidate that 0. Yeah, no, of course you're valid. Your own opinion. You're entitled to your own opinion. I just don't agree with it.
Yep, I agree.
All right. Anything else, Clint?
No, I think that's it.
All right. That means it's time for Quote of the Week.
Oh, it's the quote of the week.
I should probably unmute because I was watching videos earlier.
Yeah, and do the
Try
sound
that
clip.
again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's the quote of the week. You never know what's gonna happen. Quote of the week. You better get right down and vote for it now. Quote of the week. You never know what's gonna happen. Quote of the week. You better get right down and vote for it now. Word.
So Clint and I were just discussing if we were going to act this out or not. What do you say, Clint?
I think we are. I got to get the script.
Okay, so Clint's pulling up the transcript, and I can tell you that while he's doing that, the winner this week, it was a good, fairly close poll that we had, and the winner was the not for someone who's done acid, and so Clint's going to pull that up. While he's doing that, I want to also remind you that the way that you can participate in the quote of the week is to go over to our website, thefringepodcast.com, and look for the quote of the week right there, and we'll have a poll where you can submit your vote and vote on which one is your favorite quote of the week. You got that ready?
No.
So I'm going to stall for some more period of time here.
Why don't you tell them about our great sponsor,
Global Cash Card?
Global Cash Card.
You know what? That's a great idea. I would love to tell you about our sponsor. We mentioned them in the opener, Global Cash Card. And they are sponsoring us for the entire 5th and final season of the Fringe Podcast. And so we're really appreciative of the folks over there and Michael Purcell, who is a Fringe fan and a Fringe Podcast fan. If you guys need pay card solutions, actual paying your employees on pay cards or flex cards, per diem cards, any of that stuff, Global Cash Card is the place to do all of that. They have some very large worldwide businesses and some smaller businesses as well. So go check them out over at globalcashcard.com. You got it?
Yes, hold on.
Okay. Clint is like the slowest copier and paster on the face of the earth.
Let me tell you that I steal it from another site and they didn't have a link up.
You don't go to fringepedia.net?
I did. They don't have a link up to any of the transcripts for season 5.
You just go to that episode and then it's in there? Okay. Apparently you get it in a different way than I do.
I go to transcripts and then I look under transcripts.
I go to the episode and then I go to transcript. All right, so we have Olivia, Walter, Henrietta, Peter, Henrietta, Walter, Henrietta. So you'll be the guys, I'll be the girls. I think that'll work out.
That's how we do on our role-playing days on Saturdays, Daryl.
Well, that gives you Walter, and we both know that you have to be Walter.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Walter, you've always documented things. Are you absolutely sure that you didn't write anything down?
I can't remember, but anything's possible.
Even if there were files, you can't go back to Harvard. We can't get in.
Why not?
It was taken over by the observers 5 years ago. Some kind of base, or no one knows exactly. The entire 4-mile radius is a no-go zone.
What's wrong? Why can't we get into Harvard?
It's been taken over by observers, Walter.
Well, that's not a problem for someone who's done acid.
All right. That was fun. It's nice to be acting those out again. So we have 4 new quotes for you this week, and the first one is, I'm going to take it.
I just believed so strongly that she was dead, and I didn't want to see it. And you thought I went back because of my strength, and she said that she admired me today.
Olivia. I saw how you were with our little girl. I know how much you love her. And I'm not telling you to forget it, but the past is the past. Don't let it get in the way of this. I don't know why it's happening, but our family got a second chance. So I'm gonna take it.
Good music in that one, too. All right, the next quote is, you're not a coward.
What you saw back there in that tent, there's a lot more to the word coward and the word hero than you think. It's complicated. You're not a coward if you're frightened. That's not what it means. You're a coward if you know what needs to be done and you don't do it.
All right.
Great scene.
Yes, it was. Quote number 3, I'll stay here and regroup.
Did we get out there safely?
We'd need to avoid checkpoints. I mean, it's a long way to go, considering we don't know what we're looking for.
Yeah, or if it's still even there. Whatever it is.
Hey, Walter, you think we might be able to jog your memory if you just...
I don't think I should travel. My feet are swollen from standing in front of the amber all day. I'll stay here for a bit and regroup. What?
Oh, I forgot it was still going. The other good part of that one was when they finally got there, and he's
Yes.
like, yeah, he's like,
I've got a blood clot.
Blood clot. Yeah.
Just didn't let me stop and stretch my legs.
That was good. This one was also good. Do you have a M-I-N-E?
Walter. It's Astrid.
Yes, what is it?
Did you find anything in the archive?
Well, nothing. There's absolutely no record of me being here whatsoever.
Okay, well, I found something. Walter, is there a mine mine where you are?
Mine. The only mime that I know of is Marcel Marceau. What's he got to do with any of this?
No, a mine. You said mine. M-I-N-E on the table. Walter, whatever you're supposed to find, it's in a mine.
Do you have a mine, M-I-N-E, here?
He's so funny the way he says it. It's like he's been, like Astrid is just dumb for even spelling it.
Oh, sure.
Do you have a mine, M-I-N-E here?
And I love the way she responds to him like, "Are you even kidding me right now?"
Why would they have a mime?
Yeah, we're going all this way to procure a mime.
That's right.
Who will be able to tell us nothing? He better be good at motion.
It's the way to trick Widmark into stepping on the stasis rune. He's like, and just imagine as you're listening to me, I'm doing miming gestures that are terrible.
Oh, funny stuff. All right,
box.
Clint, this would be a great time to remind folks about the awesome contest. I mentioned it earlier. We've gotten some really awesome, I'm saying awesome a lot, but they are. We've got some really awesome
Fantastical.
entries. Yes, entries in so far. Got a lot of stories. Most of them have been stories that have been sent in. We got a comic book that got sent in. And on Twitter, somebody sent us a preview of some music that they are working on. It's not final yet.
Cool.
They haven't submitted their final yet, but we're getting some really amazing things sent in. So tell us about the contest.
The contest. I'm so excited about this contest. We've done other contests in the past and picked the median. The median would be the average.
Yes.
You pick the medium that we wanted you to submit. This is open. If you're good at miming, you can shoot a video of yourself miming out a scene. And what we want, this is Bridge the Backstory contest, and we want to find out, because they won't freaking tell us on Fringe, what happened between 2015 and 2036.
Right. Yep.
Particularly to our Fringe team. You can, as Daryl said, comic books, music, video, short stories, poems, mimes, performance art. You can do a dance. You could set up a web page.
T-shirt.
A wall mural.
A billboard. You could rent a billboard.
That's right.
Put it up there.
That's right. You could rent an RV. I don't know what you do with the RV, but you're welcome to do that.
Wrap it with some sort of Fringe-inspired design.
And drive it through New York City.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you want, but there are some rules. The rules are nothing R-rated, right? It has to be clean.
Right.
Has to be able to be submitted and shared on our website digitally.
Right.
So you guys are welcome to do a wall mural, but don't mail us the wall. Just take a digital snapshot of it and email it to us.
Mm-hmm. Now, somebody did ask, I got an email last night, or technically early this morning, that said, can we use clips and pictures from the show? And I don't see why not. It is an idea to bridge the backstory, so what's happening in that gap. So I'm not sure what you would use in that would make sense, but if you think there's a way to do that and make sense. Now, that can't be your only thing, but if you wanted to start with something and then shoot off from there or whatever, I think that would be okay.
Sure.
But it needs to be largely, your content that you're coming up with.
That's right.
But there's no copyright issues with using the show because this is just a contest. We're not going to be selling it or anything like that.
That's right. But you can win some fabulous prizes.
Right.
We've got 3 prizes. Daryl, you want to tell them what the prizes are?
Well, I sure can. Third prize is going to be Season 4 of Fringe on your choice of Blu-ray or DVD. That'll be Region 1 or Region 2. Second prize is Season 4 of Fringe on Blu-ray or DVD.
And?
Your choice. And a $250 Global Cash Card gift card. This will either be a MasterCard or a Visa card that you can use anywhere that you can swipe a credit card. And then the grand prize, the first place prize, is all 4 seasons of Fringe on Blu-ray or DVD, your choice, and a $500 Global Cash Card gift card, and my Fringe bag. You want to grab that, and I'll show it here for the folks that are in the chat room. This is an exclusive bag that I picked up while I was at Comic-Con 2012, And if you've ever been to Comic-Con, you've seen these before. They're these really large bags that they hand out to everybody who goes, and you never know what you're going to get. There you go. Clint is showing it off here for the live show. If you're not in the live show, check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Fringe Podcast and or The Fringe Podcast, and you'll be able to see him holding it up there to the camera. Okay, so you're also going to get that Fringe bag. Thank you, Clint. You're a very good Vanna. So that's going to be what the first prize person is going to win.
That's right.
The deadline is midnight Central Time on October the 31st. So you have until the end of the month.
And if we get anything super special, we'll be giving out one grand prize, which is all 5 seasons of Fringe on InfoCube.
That'll be interesting.
So now you have to have an InfoCube player.
Yes.
For this to work.
Otherwise, you don't qualify.
That's right.
And so email those in to feedback@thefringepodcast.com, and please use the subject line, Bridge the Backstory Contest.
Very cool.
Yep.
All right. Daryl, do you have anything else?
I've got something new. We talk every week about how you can help support us here at the podcast with a donation or going to our Cafe Press store or whatever. I decided to just make it easy. Just go over to thefringepodcast.com/support. What that will do is redirect you over to our Golden Spiral Media page. And what I've done is I have taken if you wanted to give us a monthly or a one-time donation, I've also put really easy to follow links to all of our affiliate partners. We mentioned HostGator a lot. We mentioned Netflix and Amazon and all the other ones that we have affiliate relationships with. And then I added a new section, just kind of our wish list of things we'd like to do one day to upgrade and take our video and audio to the next level. So there's a few items down there where you can actually provide funds specifically for one of those things. It was, it's just one of those fun things I thought I would add. But anyway, all of our support opportunities are right there at thefringepodcast.com/support. It will redirect you over to goldenspiralmedia.com/support. And we're very, very grateful for all of you who send us in donations or buy through our affiliate links or shop at Cafe Press. That helps pay the bills here and it helps us go to conventions and bring interviews to you guys and all the fun stuff that we do. We really, really appreciate it so much.
We sure do. One other thing that we appreciate is your feedback. So if you'd like to leave that for us, you can call us at 304-837-2278. It's 304-TFP-CAST. You can also email us, feedback@thefringepodcast.com. Find us on Facebook and SoundCloud at their websites /Golden Spiral Media.
Yep.
That's it.
That's it.
And Twitter at GSM Podcasts.
That's right. That is it. All right. Well, guys, thanks for joining us for this episode of the Fringe Podcast. Don't forget, Monday, October 15th is the last day you can go nominate us for the Podcast Awards. If you haven't done that yet, we would sure appreciate your nomination in the entertainment and best produced categories. And until next time, stay Fringe-tastic.
And keep it nerdy.
The Fringe Podcast and Golden Spiral Media are not associated with Bad Robot Productions, Warner Brothers, or Fox. Golden Spiral Media's use of any and all copyrighted material is only for parody, news analysis, critique, and for educational purposes, as provided within United States Code, Title 17, aka Fair Use. Copyright 2012, Golden Spiral Media.